Hello and welcome back to Yoga for First Responders. I'm Heather, thanks for joining, and today I'm going to just walk you through some brief stretches or movements that you can do anywhere. You can do it in any outfit that you might be in, maybe in your work clothes, or you could be at home. You don't need a mat or anything special. You can have shoes on or off. The goal is just to give you some ideas and some things you can do wherever you're at, whenever you need it. So, let's do this. So go ahead and first just find a comfortable stance. Just standing wherever you are at, arms can just relax along those sides. And first, let's find that breath. Always the breath, right? Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to come right to our breath, come right to stillness. So if you need to move around a little bit first, feel free. You can walk around in your space. Maybe you just shift your weight side to side a few times, whatever you need to do to find your space. Feel free to keep those arms along those sides, or sometimes it helps to gently connect your hands with the sides of those legs just to bring in a physical connection that sometimes is a little bit easier to focus on than our breath. So finding what works for you here, then maybe take a few circles with those shoulders. They can start small and maybe gradually get a little bit bigger. Just starting to draw those shoulders forward and up, and then back and down. Just beginning to feel a little bit of movement, maybe in the shoulders, maybe start to notice something in the neck. You can try going the other direction a few times with those circles if you'd like. Drawing them back and up, and then forward and down. And then whenever you are ready, just letting those shoulders relax down the back. So maybe draw them back one more time, and just actively try to reach those fingertips down towards the ground. Again, they can be connected with your legs or not. Just finding a nice tall spine. Standing as tall as you can as you lift through the crown of the head, but we're grounding down into the legs, into those feet. You're always welcome to close those eyes. Sometimes that's not always doable or comfortable, especially if you're out in public. But just find something to gaze at if you'd rather have them open. Just one spot, maybe down on the floor or out in front of you. And just noticing how you are breathing. Noticing the depth of your breath, maybe the pace of your breath. Noticing any movement you might feel in the body as you breathe, maybe through the chest or the ribs or the belly. Sometimes all we need to do to reset is to bring awareness to the breath. So feel free to stay here as long as you'd like. Again, just focusing on that breath, coming back to it whenever needed. But otherwise, let's take a little bit of movement through the head and the neck. So maybe bringing that right ear down towards the right shoulder. Again, it's always your choice to take things a little bit bigger or deeper. Again, just depending on where you're at. So you can stay here just with those arms along the side, or if you'd like, you can bring those hands behind you and maybe bring your right hand to your left wrist. And just allow that right hand to rest, on the lower back or on the glutes. And for a moment here, just bringing awareness to this left side of the neck. Again, eyes can be open or closed. But just giving yourself a few moments here to pause, to observe. And maybe with that right hand, where it's connected with the left wrist, try to gently just press that left hand away from the body. And then allow it to relax. So just little movements. We're just slowly pressing that hand away from the body. And then back in, letting it relax. And as you do so, as you find these tiny little micro movements, just observing again, noticing through the neck or the shoulder or anywhere else that you might feel sensation in the body. And then just you choose whenever you feel ready to bring that head back up. Go ahead and do so. Just again softening through those shoulders, and maybe we try the other side. Bringing that left ear down towards that left shoulder, slightly lifting the chin up towards the ceiling. And maybe you switch those hands if they're behind you. So bringing that left hand to the right wrist. And just allow that left hand to rest on the lower back or the glutes, wherever it's at behind you. And very slowly, maybe you start to push the hand away from the body. And then just allow it to rest and relax. So any of the postures or the movements that we do in yoga, you can always find little micro movements, little adjustments that might change the sensation. It might change where you feel a stretch. It might change if you feel a stretch. And it might not be a stretch that you feel too. It could be a tightening or a strengthening or an opening. So maybe another breath or two here. And then very slowly you can bring the head back up to center. Maybe you release those hands, just bring them back out to the sides. You can roll out those shoulders, shake out those arms, whatever works for you here. And then we're going to take a little bit of a wider stance. So maybe walking those feet out just a little wider than those hips. Again, it doesn't have to be super big or obvious. But then we're going to turn our left foot to the left side, and the right foot is just going to come out kind of to an angle to the diagonal. But then we're going to turn our hips and our shoulders facing forward once again. So maybe bring that right hand to the hip. Left hand can just rest on the leg. So as we breathe in, see if we can stand nice and tall. Bringing those shoulders right above those hips. Just find a nice tall spine. You might start to feel that back leg engage a little bit as you do so. And then trying to just keep everything facing forward. Our hips, our shoulders, everything facing forward. We're just going to find a little side bend. Just letting this hand come down the leg as far as you want to take it. Pausing whenever you need to. Just gently resting this hand on the leg. This top hand that's on the hip, you can always keep it there, or you can bring it to the lower back behind you and gently press the hand into the body to help open this top shoulder. Again, or you can find little movements. You can try turning the gaze up or down. You can try lifting a little higher or hinging a little lower. Just exploring how little movements, little breaths can bring awareness back into the body. And then whenever you'd like, maybe that hand comes back to the hip. We engage through the core to stand back up to center. We're going to keep the feet, the legs is there. We're just going to turn so we're facing the same direction as those left toes. So our hips are going to face forward, our shoulders face forward. Now here, feel free to bring both hands to your hips. As we breathe in, again, try to stand nice and tall. Engaging through that lower belly, lifting tall through the crown of the head. And then try to keep that long spine as we just slowly hinge at the hips. Keeping those hands on the hips for a moment so you can feel that hinge. And again, just pausing whenever you need to as we fold over that leg. That gaze can be down at the floor. You can keep your hands on your hips, or you can bring them down to your leg, or maybe they come to the floor. And then maybe here we can just drop that chin a little closer to the chest. Just go nice and slow. And again, noticing how you might be breathing. You might feel a little bit wobbly through that front foot. This front knee might need to bend a little bit, and that's okay too. But gently try to ground down into those feet a little bit more as you slowly rise all the way back up. Awesome. So just taking everything nice and slow, taking your time. We'll turn those feet so they're facing forward once again, and then we're going to go the opposite side. So we'll turn that Right foot, the right toe is pointing forward, left foot can kind of go out to the side, out to the diagonal, and then go ahead and turn your body, those hips, those shoulders toward, and say the long side of your mat, but you're probably not on a mat, so just try to face away from that front foot. And then again, left hand can come to the hip, right hand can just rest on that leg. Now as we breathe in, first just standing tall, try to reach that tailbone straight down towards the ground. You might start to feel a little engagement as you do so. And then on the breath out, we just find a little side bend. So just dropping this bottom shoulder down towards the foot. Top shoulders reaching up towards the ceiling. Pausing whenever you need to. This hand that's on the hip, again, you can keep it there and just gently try to press this top hip forward. Or you can bring the hand behind the back to help draw this top shoulder back. Maybe you try moving that gaze around. Maybe you try lifting and lowering. Just giving yourself a few breaths here to notice and explore. And as you begin to notice different sensations, then feel free to take action, to move, to adjust, to make it a little more comfortable for you. And whenever you feel ready, engaging through that core to help lift the torso back up. And then let's bring both hands to our hips and just help turn them forward. You can adjust those feet if needed, but both hands on the hip here, hips, shoulders facing the same direction as those toes. And as we breathe in, again, standing nice and tall, lifting through the pelvic floor, the lower belly, all the way up to the crown of the head. And then on the breath out, we'll hinge at those hips. Fingers can be on the front of those hips to help guide those hips as they fold. Folding over that front leg. Again, when you notice this front leg wanting to bend deeply, it's a good sign to maybe pause or come up a little bit higher. But when you find that natural pause, you can keep the hands on the hips, or you can bring your hands to your legs. Maybe they're up on the thigh, maybe they're on the shin, maybe they're on the ground. It's going to be different for each one of us. And again, if you're in full work clothes, don't worry about trying to go very deep. But as we're here, as we pause, maybe you release the crown of the head down towards the floor. And to really take this stretch a little bit deeper, try to square those hips. So trying to draw that right hip back as the left hip reaches forward towards that front foot. See if that changes where you might feel something. Noticing the breath. Strong through those legs and grounding down into those feet as we slowly rise all the way back up. Taking your time. And then we'll go ahead and face forward once again. Maybe we step those feet back in. And then as we walk those legs out, you can shake out the legs, shake out those arms. But we're going to find a little balance, beginning to open through the front of those thighs. So if you're near a wall or a car or something, you can always bring your hand to it for some balance. But just take a few steps here, just alternating legs, bringing your hand to the foot behind you. And then maybe the next time you come onto that right leg, see if you can pause here. So feeling that left hand connect with the top of the foot, we're gently going to reach that left knee straight down towards the floor as we stand up nice and tall. Again, bringing the shoulders right above the hips. Hip is right above that knee. Now to find a little bit of movement here, you can try to gently press the foot into the hand a little bit more and then relax. Maybe press it into the hand. Notice how that changes what you might feel through the hip or the thigh, and relax. Maybe just 2 more times like that. And just finding these subtle movements to help keep awareness in the body. And then whenever you're ready, you can lower that foot down to the floor. Maybe recenter, walk out those legs a little bit. And then let's try the other leg. Bringing that foot into the hand. Try to gently draw that knee straight down towards the ground as we stand a little bit taller. Shoulders are drawing back. Shoulders come right above the hips, hip above the knee. Noticing where you feel any kind of sensation through the body here. It could be a stretch through the thigh. It could be something through the back, through the hip. And it's going to be different for each one of us. But if you'd like to add those little movements, maybe gently press the hand or the foot into the hand a little bit more, and then allow it to soften and relax. I know it's hard to relax when you're balancing, but just relaxing that grip, I guess. So maybe 2 more breaths here. And then whenever you are ready, go ahead and lower that foot down. You can shake out those legs, shake out those arms. Maybe as you bring both feet to the floor, feel free to just sway side to side a few times, just letting those arms relax or hang down along those sides. Staying grounded through those feet, maybe moving that gaze with those arms. And then you can take it a little bit further as you lift those arms and maybe bend at those elbows, taking that twist into the upper back. Just a couple more times here. Bringing awareness back to those feet as they're connected with the ground. You can relax those arms back down and slowly begin to unwind. So hopefully one of those things you're able to do whenever you need it, or all of it. But thanks for joining with me today. As always, it's great to have you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you for all that you do. Namaste.